Aitah for arguing with a woman online, which might have caused her to cancel her play. Posting for a friend. My friend, a 32-year-old male, is hesitant to create a Reddit account, but is concerned that he may have acted inappropriately towards a woman named Mary McDonald Lewis, who is 71 years old. For the sake of this discussion, I will refer to her as MM. This is my first time addressing such a matter, so I would appreciate your guidance on whether I need to hide her name. Since Mary is a well-known public figure, her identity is already widely recognized. In any case, Jack, my friend, expressed worry that he could have inadvertently led her to cancel her play and issue refunds for tickets. He even shared a post on Tumblr, feeling it was a private space to voice his frustrations since he has few followers there. Now, his concerns have shifted from worrying about being discovered to fearing that his comments may have created a significant uproar, ultimately leading to her having to cancel and refund ticket money for her production. In summary, a poll circulated within the local Backstage Theater group posed the question: Poll, should the term paid in job postings be exclusive to legal jobs? Vote. 1. Paid should indicate a token compensation of 0.01 distributed to the actor, regardless of their responsibilities. 2. Paid should signify that the job is legal, provides a W-2, treats the actor as an employee, and pays at least the minimum wage. Mary's response was, Mary McDonald Lewis. Interesting poll. I notice the votes are currently quite close. I look forward to seeing the results. Regardless of the outcome, the requirement to include dollar amounts in job postings has forced us to seek out other platforms to advertise our crew and actor positions. Although we offer competitive pay that exceeds the average in most theaters, we do not believe our budget should be subject to public scrutiny and view it as a company matter for us and job applicants. We hold no objections to this rule, nor to anyone who chooses to comply with it. We simply opt to hire through other channels. At that point, someone, P1, inquired, what is wrong with pay transparency? Another individual, P2, remarked, Mary, when you choose to obscure your pay rates, it suggests to professionals that you are either underpaying out of necessity or intentionally paying less to take advantage of others. Additionally, you are wasting your colleagues' time and efforts by compelling them to ask about your compensation. What occurs when someone inquires, only to find your pay is unacceptable? Their time is wasted as well. If 100 people ask about your rates and none find them satisfactory, that results in a considerable amount of wasted time, and you remain no closer to securing your cast and crew. It's frustrating, isn't it? Spare everyone's time and energy while instilling confidence in your future collaborators by posting your pay rates upfront. If you genuinely believe your rates surpass the average in most theaters, you should take pride in showcasing them in every job advertisement. I assure you it will expedite your process and lead to greater happiness for all involved. Your stance of "we simply hire elsewhere" contradicts the collaborative essence of theater and the arts. Where does that end? Over time, more markets will demand pay transparency to prevent wasteful inquiries and predatory employers, which ultimately means you'll find it increasingly challenging to hire. Responded to P2. 1. We pay more than the average. 2. You have the freedom to operate as you please, and so do we. 3. Your assertion that "we simply hire elsewhere" contradicts the collaborative spirit of theater and the arts. This reasoning seems flawed. Marketing our roles elsewhere is akin to marketing them here, with the added benefit of following our own principles. There are numerous platforms available to engage with theater professionals. Shouldn't we strive to connect with them as well? 4. I respect your right to post any company information wherever you choose. That is how a democracy operates. You may or may not choose to show the same respect in return, but I support your right to do so. 5. I find it perplexing and disheartening to witness fearful and angry reactions when I defend everyone's right to pursue their own paths. Again, I urge you, promote your work as you see fit. I will be the first to cheer you on. However, I will not, regardless of whether I receive equal respect, support any causes that do not align with my values. 6. I wish you great luck with all your endeavors. Later, P1 reiterated the question regarding pay transparency, to which replied, There is nothing wrong with it for you and everyone else who shares your perspective. It's perfectly reasonable. I'm fully supportive of that idea. Go for it. I will stand alongside you to defend your right to do this. It simply does not resonate with me. Do you see how this works? You can pursue it while I am not obligated to. Hooray for democracy. Jack chimed in. My 2 cents are that, in my opinion, the concept of paying not paying is acceptable for the listserv. However, I believe pay information should be available somewhere accessible, even if it is just on the company's job listing website. Even if the pay description ends up stating only that it involves tips divided based on performance, at least individuals are informed about what they are getting into. This approach is beneficial for those trying to make ends meet. Simply stating pay provides little clarity. Some individuals cannot afford to waste time chasing jobs that ultimately may not cover their rent when they could have been more selective. Ultimately, this practice hurts applicants and just wastes your own time. At this point, after sharing his views, Jack discovered the ongoing discussions and decided to suggest that everyone take a break as things were becoming heated. Replied, I wholeheartedly endorse the rules of this group and fully understand the reasoning behind them. I support the group's decision, as it was made collectively, and I'm pleased that it was derived through a democratic process. We should continue to operate this way, and I will always advocate for the group's right to establish its regulations. P3. Requested additional clarity regarding who we referred to in MM's statements. Jack, admittedly foolishly, undertook some investigative work to answer the question to the best of his ability, not realizing that minutes before the inquiry. To clarify, my friend wanted to emphasize that it is not a live chat. One must refresh the page for new posts. Theater. They are new, officially registered in December of 2024, and are hosting their first production, The Macbeths, at Milagro. The 3 listed contacts include only Mary MacDonald Lewis as a registered name. The other 2 appear as groups or companies: Spiral Stage Theater Group and Story Federation. Unaware that had already clarified, oh, just me and my minor voiceover projects. I occasionally help out with film or television projects, or I am asked to provide referrals within my capacity as a dialect coach. Mary MacDonald Lewis is the name of my enterprise. Upon noticing this, Jack promptly followed up. Looks like Mary provided a more accurate answer. Then turned her attention to him. Hello everyone, I apologize, Jack, but Red S isn't the company making the following statement. I am. 1. I concur that PDX Backstage can operate according to whatever rules it deems appropriate. I stand in support of any decisions made by the group. 2. For personal reasons, I find alternative platforms to post jobs where I'm not required to list pay in the initial posting, although I do address compensation in follow-up inquiries. Story Federation is my own nonprofit organization, which I acquired from Spiral about a decade ago. To reiterate, no one at Red S is involved with my assertions here. If you would like to learn more about me, then proceeded to willingly share her personal home address along with her phone number, which Jack has stressed was not an act of doxing, as she opted to publicize this information herself. A mother of one, I live alone. Regardless of your actions, I will stand in support of your right to uphold your beliefs. Jack, naturally confused, responded with an apology. Yes, you used we. So the assumption was that it referred to whatever company you represented, rather than just you. Mary MacDonald Lewis does not appear to be a registered company. My apologies, I jumped to conclusions and reacted too quickly with inaccurate information. He sought clarification. I would, like to point out that sharing your address is an intriguing choice. I hope that it is not your personal address, but rather, Red S Theater is also registered at that address. When you referred to us, regarding how it has caused us to market our crew and actor positions elsewhere, what did you intend if you weren't implying your company? I apologize if I'm overstepping. I'm merely confused about the language and logistics. Replied, oh, no worries. Your inquiries are completely expected, so let me clarify to eliminate any potential misunderstandings. I will always support the rules and regulations established by any group that reaches a democratic consensus, as this group has done, and I advocate for any theater's choice to disclose pay. This is indeed my home address, which I provided to address your curiosity regarding my personal and professional life, and both of my non-profits are listed here, where I live alone on the ground floor. The first organization, Story Federation, allows theater companies the opportunity to utilize a nonprofit for their storytelling needs if they lack one and require assistance. I've owned that nonprofit for years, and it has served other organizations for the same purpose. The second one, Jack included it on his lengthy Tumblr page, but I refuse to provide a platform for her to exploit her sister, is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting and caring for my developmentally delayed, elderly, and medically fragile sister, whom I care for as her sole guardian. This second charity occupies most of my time at present, apart from my work as a union voice actor and dialect coach. Her sister's name here suffers from Parkinson's and is currently facing eviction and homelessness, and further information can be found here, should you be interested in my endeavors. I have operated several theater companies over the years, but regarding the pay issue, I'm referring to my assistance with film and television companies that seek voice actors, and occasionally, on-camera actors. Following 40 years in the industry, production companies frequently ask me about actors with animation skills, though more often they inquire about dialect skills. My IMDb profile is terribly outdated, yet you can glean an idea of my body of work, which stretches back nearly half a century. I'm currently involved in a job in New Zealand called East of Eden, for which I provided coaching, and I'm watching another one of my projects, Going Dutch, featuring an Australian actor executing an impressive US accent. Did you watch Eileen? My actors therein truly nailed the Boston accent. I was exceptionally proud of them. The we typically refers only to myself, though at times I receive assistance from my small team, which includes an accountant, an agent, and a lawyer for some of these projects. If you wish to know their names, I'm sure you can locate them through a simple Google search, as you have demonstrated a talent for today. I hope that sharing my perspective does not lead to an influx of personal inquiries or encourage the notion that answers can be demanded, particularly since I've expressed from the outset that I believe it is commendable for individuals to adhere to the rules here if they support them, and that this group has the right to maintain its regulations. Go, rules. I genuinely champion them. Jack, if I have addressed your concerns satisfactorily, that would genuinely brighten my day. If not, you have my address. Feel free to stop by for coffee with any further questions, and we can see how to address them. With the utmost respect and unwavering support, Jack's reply. No questions from me. I was merely concerned that it was your personal address, which you did not need to disclose. I am more cautious about sharing my home address, and I am pleased that you feel both secure and self-assured enough to disclose such details with strangers online, even in a local and private group. All I sought was clarification, as a company is also registered at that address. The information I provided was an attempt to respond to the question about who we referred to, using the best available information I could find publicly and freely. I will admit, I acted too quickly, and I acknowledge that you provided a more accurate response to the other person's inquiry. I would like to note that all you needed to do was clarify that they are separate entities, which you eventually did, but at great length. I was simply confused about your use of we and us in your initial post because both are registered at the same address, which implies that they are operated by the same individuals, and I was hoping for some minor clarification since your original post suggested that the we and us seeking to hire elsewhere could apply to more than just you. That said, I did not request any additional information beyond that. Perhaps I was too vague in what I wanted clarified, but you volunteered much more than I asked for. I will confess, it feels as though you are talking down to me, and I apologize if I have offended or insulted you in any way to provoke that reaction. Her response was, Jack, I have valued this discussion for numerous reasons, not least of which is the multitude of thoughtful points raised by Rusty and countless others, which provide ample food for thought. No apologies are required. I aim to resolve your confusion fully to prevent prolonging a conversation that likely cannot interest this entire group for any longer than it needs to, and I hope I have succeeded in that. You possess all my contact information should you have further questions. Perhaps discussing this offline could be a more suitable venue. To clarify, my friend has absolutely no intention of visiting her home because that would be 1. Crazy. 2. Having had experience with actors like her before, he flatly refuses to be put in that kind of situation. 3. He is of a different ethnicity and could easily be accused of trespassing, a risk he prefers to avoid. 4. He does not feel safe going there, and since he lacks acting skills, if something were to occur, he fears he would come off as suspicious and unable to substantiate his innocence. 5. He received a private email alerting him that has a reputation for stirring trouble and has a history of doing so. Jack doesn't frequent the listserv often. He primarily uses it to skim for potential gigs during his free time at work or to distribute extra tickets, as he has a season subscription and occasionally travels. However, Jack received an update last night and struggled with feelings of guilt, which is why he wrote this post. Last night, he received this announcement via the listserv. Subject: I, Mary MacDonald Lewis, to the theater community. The Macbeths is cancelled. I, Mary MacDonald Lewis, am no longer associated with Red S Theater Company, and Red S Theater Company has been dissolved. I have taken this action with contentment, commitment, and understanding. Doran Elias, Jane Bement Giesman, and the cast and crew of the Macbeths, along with the fantastic Milagro Theater, are wonderful individuals who genuinely care about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as supporting every facet of the LGBT community. They are not in any way affiliated with me or my opinions. In fact, they are wholeheartedly supportive of the recent concerns, and for this reason have chosen to distance themselves from me. Doran, Jane, the cast and crew, and all staff at Milagro are 100% committed to protecting all marginalized peoples. They have powerfully demonstrated this by requesting my departure from the show and the company while also dissolving the company. I am pleased to comply. I cherish the Portland theater community and wholeheartedly support its right to free expression. I wish the crew of the Macbeths much success for their outstanding show. It's bound to be a remarkable production. All tickets will be refunded. Best wishes. Mary MacDonald Lewis. This left Jack feeling bewildered and somewhat anxious that he had caused a significant issue, as he never intended to force anyone out of business, though the intersection of theater and business often complicates matters. He was unaware that anyone was avoiding the show. He just assumed there were more compelling and engaging performances and events forthcoming. He pointed to the guy who didn't like musicals occurring in Southeast Portland and the upcoming Fertile Ground Festival in April. Concerned, he conducted more research and discovered her Instagram page, which left him with mixed feelings, as he wrestled with the notion that this situation might be his fault. He claims he doesn't believe it is his responsibility, but he accuses me of being biased due to my friendship with him. He cannot control the words or actions of others. Nevertheless, he is grappling with feelings that he may be the cause of providing job insecurity to the individuals involved in that play, as he understands how difficult it can be to secure work in a gig economy and endeavors to accept only volunteer positions with theaters known to treat their workers fairly. Update. Jack has informed me that has exited the listserv, and this has only deepened his sense of guilt. Story 2. I, 22F, am upset with my boyfriend, 27M, of 10 months over Valentine's Day failure. Warning. This is quite lengthy, so get comfortable. If you do not wish to read, that is perfectly fine. Context: my boyfriend, whom I will refer to as Zenos, and I have been in a relationship for 10 months now. We initially met on the dating app Hinge. He is my first boyfriend, while I have had previous relationships. Generally, he is a very calm individual. He possesses a strong sense of security and is seldom affected by much. His primary love language is quality time, while mine is words of affirmation. This has been something we have actively worked on. He is not particularly emotional, does not often experience jealousy, and it took a serious conversation to express my desire for him to articulate his affection in order to reach a compromise regarding our love languages. Due to work commitments, he relocated 2 hours away, yet we managed to meet every other weekend and frequently FaceTime, enjoying long-distance relationship dates. Currently, he is working from home. In contrast, I am undoubtedly more emotional and expressive. I wear my heart on my sleeve and am openly affectionate with friends and family. Compared to my boyfriend, we exhibit quite opposite traits, but this balance allows us to complement each other well. I have met his family, who adore me, and he has also met mine. I share a wonderful bond with his family. I text his parents as if they were my own, and we are quite close. What happened? On the 14th of February, he had scheduled a dinner date a month in advance, which I canceled because I was preparing for important exams that were very close to Valentine's Day. We mutually agreed to FaceTime and spend the evening together. I had conveyed my excitement for this day, as I had never celebrated it before. It holds great significance for me. Understanding that he struggles with romance, I have taken the approach of directly communicating my desires, rather than relying on the notion that, if he wanted to, he would. For a month leading up to the date, I emphasized the day's importance and reminded him not to forget to wish me. He acknowledged that it was never significant for him, as it had never been on his radar, but promised me that he would wish me since it was meaningful to me. As the day arrived, I began studying early in the morning. We chatted briefly, and I wished him a happy Valentine's Day, to which he replied, "Oh yeah, happy Valentine's Day." I assumed he had forgotten, given his tone, but I brushed it off. Throughout the day, I purchased a game for him on Steam that he had desired for a while, and since he adores chocolate, I arranged for a fruit basket to be delivered to his place in the evening, just a sweet Valentine's Day gesture. Around 10 a.m., I received a call from a delivery person. Confused, I soon got a surprise. A massive bouquet, my favorite chocolates, and a beautiful bottle of wine had been delivered. I was absolutely elated. There was even a lovely note addressed to me which moved me to tears. I attempted to call him to express my gratitude, but he was at work. Instead, I sent a picture of all the gifts he had surprised me with, along with numerous texts expressing my love, thanking him, and conveying how special he made the day for me. Then I received a single text from him. "Babe, that isn't me." I was taken aback and asked, "Huh, stop joking right now." To condense the story, we discovered that the surprise did not come from him at all. I even checked with his mother, thinking she might have sent it on his behalf, but she confirmed she hadn't. It was peculiar because the note had no sender's name, so I was left in the dark about the mystery gift. Upon rereading the note, I noticed it had a slightly cryptic message. "I wish I could tell you how I feel. You deserve so much more than what you settle for, so wait for me." Initially, I thought it was strange but attributed it to Zenos's tendency to be awkward with words, interpreting it as him trying. However, once we learned it wasn't from him, everything started to make sense. Truthfully, we attempted to identify who the sender could be, but that is a tale for another time. By noon, I managed to talk to Zenos during his lunch break. He seemed remarkably unconcerned and unaffected by the fact that I received a gift on Valentine's Day, particularly one that seemingly outshone his efforts. I asked him whether I should anticipate anything from him, but he merely shrugged and responded, "I'm afraid not." I felt a bit disheartened and pointed out his indifference to someone else who not only outdid him on Valentine's Day, but had also disrespected him in the note. We had plans to FaceTime later that evening, so I decided to wait until then to discuss things further. Later that day, he sent me a drawing as an apology for his lack of thoughtfulness. When we spoke in the evening, he expressed a desire to discuss what had transpired, but I glossed over it, saying, "It's fine. It's just a silly holiday," as I did not want to delve into my feelings. I had significant exams approaching, and I preferred to compartmentalize and address those matters first, rather than confront what felt like opening Pandora's box at that moment. As we continued with our virtual date, I suddenly received a text from his father. "Oh, I heard you got Zenos a gift. That's so sweet. He said you agreed to not do anything, so he'll feel bad now, but I heard you have other options too." His dad is quite humorous and playful, so I was confident he did not mean anything nefarious by that message. In fact, his parents have always spoken highly of me and told him that if I ever broke up with him, he should not return home. However, receiving that text pushed me to my limit. I ended up confronting him. Zenos is incredibly calm, having never raised his voice at me, which made this all the more surprising for him. I expressed a range of feelings, suggesting I didn't know I needed to create a group chat with his parents to discuss our relationship issues, and that all I wanted was a message acknowledging the day. I clarified that I wasn't the type of girlfriend who demands gifts or extravagant gestures, recalling how I took him out to a lavish dinner on my first paycheck. All I wanted was a sign that he was thinking of me. It wasn't merely about Valentine's Day. It was the lack of acknowledgement, despite consistently telling him its significance. I felt I had communicated this so clearly that it may as well have been tattooed onto my forehead. I informed him that while I understand he is inexperienced in relationships, he must have interactions with others to recognize basic courtesies. His friends were posting about their girlfriends. It wasn't about needing a public declaration or gifts, just a simple acknowledgement from him. Instead, I found it disheartening that someone else felt comfortable sending me flowers, my favorite chocolates, and wine on a day that mattered to me. I also made some rather harsh comments, including that I didn't want a boyfriend like him. While I genuinely liked him, I wanted to avoid a future where I consistently felt the need to beg for even the bare minimum. He was very apologetic and admitted he should have done something, considering my reaction and feelings. He asked how he could make it up to me, but I emphasized that it wasn't something to make up. It was an action, or lack thereof, and its consequences. I simply wanted to go to bed, so I hung up. Aftermath. The following 2 days, we communicated normally, albeit I was distant since I preferred to focus on my studies. On the 3rd day, I called him to apologize if my words had hurt him, but made it clear that if I ever felt this way again, I would leave the relationship. He acknowledged my perspective, saying he thought we might be finished, and we decided to set aside the issue for now, as I had more pressing priorities ahead. We agreed to revisit the topic once we met after my exams. How I feel, optional read. This situation hurt deeply. Zenos has been somewhat tone-deaf before, but I have encouraged him to be a bit more mindful, which has sometimes involved me suppressing my own hurt feelings. However, this situation stung to the extent that I erupted in anger. Honestly, I am struggling to comprehend his thought process. Did it not resonate with him when I stated the day was significant to me? Was he unbothered by the fact that someone else was trying to win me over? Did it not bother him that someone else disrespected him through the note? I was upset, and he had a whole month to prepare a simple text to send me on that day. I would have appreciated anything from him. While he has become more verbally affectionate than before, it still feels inadequate. Whenever he expresses something romantic, I cherish it, but it is still not enough to satisfy me. The essence of the matter is simple. It does not take much to make me happy. Additionally, I do not consider myself the prettiest or the slimmest woman. Although I have curves and am aware they are not typically his preferred type, I have been making efforts. During our initial dating phase, he mentioned a preference for fit girls, so I have accepted my shortcomings and tried my best to make up for them. Nevertheless, I am also aware of my other qualities. I am an incredibly loving and devoted partner. I strive to make him happy, and his family and friends hold me in high regard. I am a university student with a limited budget, yet I still spend my earnings from my part-time job on little things to bring joy to him, even though he tends to be frugal. I have a bright future ahead, aspiring to become a surgeon, and nothing will deter me from achieving that goal. To be honest, had this anonymous admirer not sent anything, I may not have reacted so strongly. I feel guilty about how I expressed myself, yet I do not regret my words. What I want your opinion on: am I asking for too much? Was my reaction excessive? Is this a relationship issue that should be considered a deal breaker? My friends have supported me, but I seek an objective viewpoint from someone who does not know me or Zenos. He is genuinely a good partner otherwise. He plans to take me to Italy for our 1-year anniversary, has been there for me during Christmas and my birthday, and embodies calmness, security, and assurance, especially given my background in an angry household. He is everything I have sought in a relationship. He does not become annoyed by my affection and never dismisses my feelings, always striving to improve, recognizing his limited understanding of relationships. However, I cannot compromise on this fundamental issue. I am uncertain how to feel about this, or whether it justifies ending the relationship, or if a frank conversation may suffice. I am perfectly fine with him discussing our issues with his parents, as he has a strong relationship with them. However, they are his parents and share many of his traits. I would prefer they remain unaware of the intricate details and my vulnerability, as I find it somewhat immature to feel so upset over this matter. My vulnerability should be reserved for him exclusively. I have contemplated establishing ground rules and expectations when we meet an idea suggested by a friend, but I am uncertain. What are your thoughts on this? I would prefer guidance rather than being told to simply break up. TLDR, I informed my boyfriend that Valentine's Day holds significance for me. He failed to do anything on that day. I confronted him. Is this a deal breaker? Story 3. For feeling betrayed by my childhood friend over a business disagreement. Fake names. I am a 32-year-old female who recently relocated to my family's cabin in a small town with a population of fewer than 400 individuals after spending several years in a big city where I operated a small gardening business. I would describe myself as an entrepreneur. While I am not an expert, I understand what it takes to launch a successful venture. Since my move, my intention has been to take my time to observe the needs of the community before deciding on a business opportunity. One of my closest childhood friends, Kara, who is 33 years old, also returned to her family cabin, which is situated on the same block. We spent our summers growing up here, and her family essentially took me in after my mother passed away during my childhood. Kara's mother would frequently refer to me as her lake daughter, leading me to believe that moving here would be a dream come true. Friends, family, lakeside living, and the charm of small-town life. Kara persistently inquired about my work plans, and I explained that I was still exploring my options before making a commitment. She mentioned several times that our neighbor, Mark, was looking for someone to clean his cabin before and after visits. To provide some context, our block consists of 6 cabins arranged in a row, with Kara and me at opposite ends and Mark's cabin positioned in the center. It is a close-knit setup. Everyone's property is somewhat visible, and we are all in close proximity to each other. After contemplating for a while, I ultimately told Kara that I would have to reject her suggestion to clean Mark's cabin, as he was simply too close of a neighbor for my comfort. I explained to her that I had learned this lesson the hard way in my previous business. Working for neighbors can lead to awkward dynamics and complicate boundary setting. Mark's cabin is merely 3 doors down from mine, and I want to ensure that I can relax and be unavailable when I return home. Additionally, Mark is battling cancer, and as unfortunate as it is, I have not reached out to him because my mother died of cancer, which is emotionally challenging for me. However, I would be willing to assist Mark for free, just not in a professional capacity to maintain the neighborly vibes. She rejected my offer and told me to forget it, stating she would continue her search for someone else. Yet, she did so with a noticeable attitude. The situation became more complicated when I posted in the town's Facebook group, inquiring whether house cleaning would be a service of interest to locals, purely as market research to identify what services might be in demand. Kara perceived this as me promoting cleaning services and confronted me, insisting that I should simply accept the job since I appeared to be interested. When I tried to clarify my reasoning, she made me feel guilty, asserting that Mark supported me as a child, that he is in need due to his illness, that I had advertised cleaning services, and topped it all off by claiming her mother was disappointed in me. Why is her mother even involved? I suspect, although it is not confirmed, that she also included Mark's daughter, Emma, in our discussions, portraying me as the villain. The day following our disagreement, I reached out to Emma in a friendly manner, explaining that while I lacked professional credentials, I could help her father for free until he secured a more permanent solution. I asked her to provide a list of his needs and the door code for access. Emma promptly responded, stating they had found someone who could assist without mentioning my offer at all. On the same day as our disagreement, Kara shared our misunderstanding with another family who resides on the lake, albeit not on our block. I was in the process of negotiating a business arrangement with this family for winter home checkups, and they texted me the next day informing me that they had found someone else for the job. It is perplexing because Kara had previously referred me to this family, stating it was easy money and that she almost took the job from me, but believed I needed to establish my reputation in the area first. While I appreciate the referrals, I believe it is essential for me to focus on building my name here independently. Disconcertingly, I suspect Kara went ahead and took this house-sitting job, despite my warnings that it is not easy money and advised caution, as the pay would amount to approximately $7 per visit, every 4 days for 5 months, totaling $50 monthly. To be honest, I intended to renegotiate the terms with this family anyway, as the compensation was insufficient, appearing as if they merely wanted a neighbor to check in for almost no pay. This instance illustrates the complications that arise when one blurs the lines with friends and neighbors. One can never charge them the full amount, so it ultimately becomes a choice between offering services for free or deciding not to engage at all. Nevertheless, I digress. At that point, I realized that I could not trust her. If she was sharing our conversations and misrepresenting my intentions to others, what else had she disclosed over the years? We attempted to discuss the issue, but when I expressed my frustration at her involving other people, she accused me of being a cop-out and making excuses to end our friendship. I told her that if she did not understand why her actions were wrong, then we had reached an impasse. We have not communicated in 4 months, even though we live just a few doors apart. The irony of the situation is not lost on me. I aim to avoid creating tensions with neighbors, not exacerbate them. So, Reddit, am I overreacting by cutting off contact with her? I feel as though she disrespected my business boundaries, caused unnecessary drama, and now I find myself ostracized by her entire family and some neighbors. Additionally, she offered me questionable business advice despite having no experience in running a business, which further added to my frustration. What are your thoughts? Should I have simply let it go? TLDR. I am a 32-year-old female who moved to my family cabin with plans to start a business based on community needs. My childhood best friend, Kara, 33, also returned to her cabin nearby. She asked me to clean our neighbor Mark's cabin, but I declined as I do not work for neighbors. I've learned it leads to awkward dynamics, and Mark's cabin is only 3 doors down. I also avoided contacting Mark since he has cancer, which is a sensitive subject for me due to my mother's passing. Things escalated when Kara guilt-tripped me, claimed her mother was disappointed, and shared our conversation with others, including Mark's daughter, Emma. As a result, I lost potential business opportunities and felt betrayed. Kara also attempted to give me poor business advice despite lacking experience. Now, I feel I cannot trust Kara, and we haven't talked in months. Am I overreacting by ending our friendship, or did she cross a line with me?